Hi, welcome Aliyah. Aliyah is a practitioner and a master trainer in NLP. And Aliyah practices in Pakistan, Australia, New Zealand, and I think you've done some master training in Spain, Afghanistan. So thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time out, Aliyah. And before we get into the details, maybe a little bit about yourself and what exactly is an NLP?
Faria, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. So I'm an NLP Master Trainer. Our trainings are internationally accredited. I started working in Australia, nearly over a decade ago now, actually. Since 2017, I moved the business to Pakistan because I'm living here at the moment. I do actually a lot of other stuff apart from NLP. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And in a nutshell, NLP is really the study of excellence. How do you model and create excellence in your life, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your work, whether it's for yourself? What are the models of excellence that one can follow to enable us to achieve the kind of results we like to achieve in any area of our lives.
And I'm so glad to have you. Aliyah, one of the things, and the topic of the day is about resilience and wellness. And, it's becoming so important. I think it has always been important. The good thing is there's more realization and more awareness around it. But in your view, when there are transitions, personal transitions that are happening around us, and we are going through it all the time, what are some of the major transitions when they happen? What sort of an impact do you think people have in your therapy, in your sort of interactions you've observed? And what are the tips to cope up with those stressors in life?
A great question. And absolutely, I mean, as we speak, the whole world at the moment is in a state of transition. And so it's not surprising that everybody's feeling that sense of uncertainty that all transitions bring. And here's the thing, I think before, in a way, actually, let me step back a bit. In my trainings, what I tell people is that the curveballs, the challenges in our lives are nature's way, God's way, universe's way, whatever you want to call it, are our moments of growth. They are gifts that have been sent to us by the universe, and there are moments of growth if we choose to engage with them. And so something like COVID is that moment of growth for us as an entire global humanity, as a global being, whether we're going to step up or whether we're going to step back. That's our choice. One of the things that I always say is that it's really important to become comfortable with discomfort. And transitions are nothing more than feeling uncertain or uncomfortable. That's all it is. It's just uncomfortable because we're unfamiliar with it. And then our minds go into spaces of fear, and we put other titles of anxiety, stress, panic attacks, etc., etc., etc. But really, all we are is just a process of discomfort.
Again, in your sort of, what advice would you give if somebody is going through lack of confidence or lack of self-esteem, for whether it's a COVID transition or a divorce or a job loss or any other? How do you build that? Because that's when you appear stronger.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm going to actually draw it for you to sort of explain what I mean. It sort of makes a bit more sense. You can't just get confidence, right? Okay. Confidence is a byproduct of what you're doing.
Okay.
Right? Now, when there's something that is like something big happens, like some big transition or change in life, you're getting divorced, you lost your job, or you've gotten sick, or somebody's died, or whatever, right? Some of those big concerns. We have what we call our circle of concern.
Correct.
Okay, and you may have heard of this concept. Our circle of concern is all the things that we're worried about and concerned about.
Yes.
And it can be health, and it can be money, and it can be relationships. It can be all types of things
Yes.
that we're worried about, right? And in our circle of concern, we have very little influence. There's very little we can do. So an example of that is, we are dealing with COVID. Do any of us have any, is there anything we can do about reducing the pandemic or getting rid of COVID? No, we don't. There's nothing we generally can do, right? As an old person. So it's within our circle of concern, something we're really concerned about, worried about, but there's very little we can do. In terms of if we are in a relationship that's breaking up, our husband or our wife or whoever it might be has left us. It's something that we're concerned about, the fact that the marriage has ended, especially maybe for women in terms of, okay, what are we going to do next? They're worried about their uncertainty, and there's very little they can do in terms of, external to us. And most people in terms of transition or things that they fear or are worried about are basically focused on their circle of concern, which is huge, and they have very little agency. Agency. So self-agency in terms of ability to do something, ability to
correct, control,
right? And most people spend their time here getting more and more stressed.
Correct.
Now, in the middle of all of this is we have what we call a circle of influence. And it's a tiny little circle in the middle. Now, in terms of, say, we talk about COVID, there's nothing we can do about the fact that there's a virus raging, a pandemic raging around the world and in our cities. But can we do something to keep ourselves safe? Yes, we can. We can wear masks. We can socially distance. We can stay at home. We can hopefully get the vaccine. All of these sort of things we can do in terms of a bigger picture.
Thank you. I think I have one more leading question with that. You mentioned about the circle of influence, and you're right. Whenever things are not working out or it's an unknown situation, and even sometimes happy situations, you sort of tend to go to something, your self-talk, your as you mentioned, the circle of concern, because it's a familiar zone, you tend to go there. Of course, we all want to come out more positive and circle of influence, but I'm just trying to think mentally that sort of changing that sort of self-doubt and negative self-talk into more positive self-talk and growing your circle of influence. Is it possible? I mean, what do I need to do differently? If today I'm saying I am in that mode where I am a bit negative or in that circle of concern and I want to grow my circle of influence, what should I do practically right now, actually?
Yeah. All right. So this is a great question. This is something I tell all my clients. Fundamentally, what NLP is about is how to proactively and actively use our brains and our thinking versus passively going along with our thoughts and actions. Most people are passive. They have a thought, they will then just go down the rabbit hole of that thought, right? What NLP and coaching does, it teaches people to become far more proactive in how they think, not what they're thinking, but how they're going to think. Is the thinking taking them to a resource state, or is it not? Is it the thinking and what they're thinking and how they're thinking? Is it taking them to desired outcome, or is it not? Right? We have so it's really important in terms of transition and times of going into to prevent overwhelm. Instead of going like we end up in terms of our circles of concern, we look at everything. We go into catastrophic thinking that, oh my God, it's all, that's it. Everything's going to fall apart. And here's the thing, behind fear of anything, our anxiety or anything, underneath it all at a deeply unconscious level, underneath it all is that the belief that we will die. At a deeply unconscious level, because fundamentally our brains are here to keep us alive. That's it. Everything else is on top of it, right? And so when we are going into a state of anxiety, fear, panic attack, or whatever it might be, it's important to go into yourself and say, okay, how am I doing right now? Am I at risk right now? Am I at risk of death right now? No, I'm not.
Thank you so much, Aliyah.